ABC 6 News 11 at 11 starts right now.
I'm asking the residents right now to raise your hand in support that you would like to see Acting Chief Nichols promoted to permanent police chief. Now I'm going to ask the Board of Select.
Now at 11, chief controversy. Dighton residents pleading with selectmen to promote the acting police chief instead of hiring from outside. Why they didn't get the answer they wanted. Plus, imminent threat. Why North Attleboro officials had to work quickly to shut down part of Broadway as an aging mill rapidly falls apart. And wrapping up a rainy, windy Wednesday with a dramatic change in the weather. Jeff is here to tell us exactly how cold it's going to get by the morning. We'll get to those stories shortly, but first tonight at 11, the outpouring of support for Dighton's acting police chief. A standing room only crowd at the middle school making it clear to the Board of Selectmen there's no reason to make a change. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm John DeLuca. Now, despite the overwhelming support, the crowd did not get the result it was looking for. ABC 6 News anchor Alyssa Zara sat in on that meeting. She joins us now live from Dighton with what's next. Alyssa.
Honestly, John, I've never seen a selectmen meeting like this one. Dozens of passionate residents voicing their concerns tonight and unanimously supporting the current acting chief as the next permanent chief of police.
Aaron Swartz, patrolman, and I support George Nichols.
Julia Horton, patrolman. I support George Nichols.
During Tuesday night's Dighton Selectmen meeting, an overwhelming outpouring of support for the current acting police chief, George Nichols, to become the next chief of the Dighton Police Department. Nichols' wife emotional at the podium.
I am not here to criticize you for not hiring him. I am here to tell you you have made our lives a living hell for 8 months. You've made him do essay questions twice. He's done multiple interviews. Outsiders have come in. They've done it once. Is that how you treat somebody who's on the department for 20 years with all of this respect? You should be ashamed, beyond ashamed.
Selectman Chair Peter Karen briefly taking responsibility for how town officials went about choosing Fairhaven Sergeant Timothy Souza as the only finalist for the job, adding the board will look at a new process for hiring.
There is a process that we have to finish. Like I said, we erred in what we had done up until today.
Residents saying the current process has already affected morale.
Don't be foolish and hire an outside person. You're going to pay for it in the end. We have an acting chief who is doing a great job.
Selectman Leonard Hull made 2 separate motions during the meeting to discuss promoting Nichols as chief of police. Neither motion passed, and needless to say, the crowd was outraged.
Form of a motion to place the name of George Nichols on the agenda for the March 6, 2024 meeting for a vote to appoint to the position of permanent police chief of Dighton.
Hearing no second, the motion does not pass. That motion doesn't pass because we can't put it on next week. We haven't even discussed amongst ourselves. All right. Again, you can't yell over each other, please.
In the end, nothing was decided tonight. Selectman Hull telling me he was looking into filing open meeting law complaints, but decided not to now that the process is changing. Adding he doesn't want to punish anyone, he just wants to support the residents of Dighton. Live in Dighton, Alyssa Azara, ABC 6 News.
Alyssa, thank you. Let's get a check on the forecast now. Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Jeff Benson joining us live in the Weather Center. Obviously, Jeff, it is raining in Dighton. In fact, as I look over your shoulder, just about everywhere. Wow.
Yeah, kudos to Alyssa for having to brave that and given that report as the raindrops were very loud hitting the umbrella. They're wind driven. Let's go to the graphics full here. What timing. The squall line is moving through the Dighton area as we speak. So again, props to Alyssa for, keeping it together and doing her thing. Let's take a look. We're going to kind of zoom it on in here on the Doppler sweep and show you exactly where that squall line is. And you can see this is the squall line you're looking at right here. You've got downpours and some of the gustier winds embedded in this. So again, right over where Alyssa is right now, moving through Taunton as we speak, just moved through Rehoboth, getting into Somerset, Fall River, down to Portsmouth and Bristol. It's about to move through you. Barrington just got it. We got it here in the city, posted on the Now app not too long ago as that squall line came through. Now the crazy thing is you go back to the west here, look at this. We've got snow across parts of central Massachusetts right now, changing over into the hills of Connecticut. We are going to watch for a brief burst here in the city. Now you take a look at the wind reports across the Northeast today. There were a lot of those, only a few here in southern New England. Fortunately, we were spared the brunt, but arguably we're getting the brunt right now. 35 to nearly 55 mile per hour winds. Worcester actually just had a 55 mile per hour gust. This is approximately where that cold front is, where that squall line is. You can tell in the wind arrow directions, they changed from southwest to northwest. As we go forward in time here again, over the next, say, hour, we're expecting that brief little burst of snow here in the city. Temperatures then behind that are going to start dropping below freezing. So any liquid puddles, ponding on the roadways has the opportunity to change over to ice. Fortunately, it's a little bit slower than we would have, expected earlier, so not the traditional flash freeze. But, John, there'll certainly be some slippery spots out there as we head into tomorrow. We'll have much more coming up in the full forecast.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Jeff. Now to our continuing coverage of an emergency road closure in North Attleboro today. The 126-year-old Silver Mill sparking safety concerns in North Attleboro. And by safety concerns, I mean the town abruptly shut down a portion of Broadway today after finding out a strong gust of wind could bring it down. ABC 6 News reporter Josh Kerman picks up the story from there.
The Webster Mill building has been the subject of community concern for decades as the long-abandoned building has dealt with roofing issues, decay, and more. Wednesday afternoon, officials announcing the closure of a small portion of Broadway between Bank Street and Richards Avenue for the foreseeable future. The town manager tells us this comes after an inspection of the building determined it could collapse into the street at any time.
I think at a point now that public safety takes priority. The town's going to act if it has to, if they're unwilling or unable to act.
Public safety is the driving factor here, and residents say the building has been a problem for long enough.
I was talking to my dad, who has been here since the late 80s, and this is how he remembers it too. So it's always been like this. It's always been an issue. And like I said, we've read articles constantly about partial collapse, this, that, and it just being a huge danger. That's how I remember it.
City officials say they're not sure if it's a matter of days or a matter of weeks, but community members aren't willing to wait that long.
I've been living in North Attleboro now 18 years, and I own my house behind here for 16 years, and this has been falling apart for years, and I've been worried it's only a matter of time somebody's going to die in here, especially a kid.
City staff say after decades of delays, this process is finally moving forward, with Borg saying community safety needs to come first.
Absolutely. Drives the train on this one, right? Concern for both property and individual family safety. We want to make sure that people are going to be able to use this road in the future without having to worry about the building's going to fall on them.
The town has been in contact with the building's owners, and they have until tomorrow to respond and try to correct this situation before the town moves forward with possible demolition. In North Attleboro, Josh Kerman, ABC 6 News.
While Josh was covering this story today, he was posting updates and behind-the-scenes video to our Now Local News app. You can keep up with us even when we're not on the air by downloading the Now Local News app. Just scan the QR code on your screen, or you can search Now Local News wherever you get your apps. National news now at 11. The Supreme Court will take up former President Trump's immunity appeal. The High Court will review a lower court ruling that rejected Mr. Trump's claims that he should have sweeping presidential immunity from a special counsel case against him. That case, of course, concerns alleged election interference in the 2020 election. The court scheduled oral arguments to begin on April 22nd. This now means the federal election interference case against Mr. Trump will be delayed. Meanwhile, an Illinois judge ruled Donald Trump is ineligible for the state's March 19th primary ballot. The former president's opponents have argued an insurrection clause in the 14th Amendment prohibits him from being president again or even running. The Colorado Supreme Court made that same ruling, but none of it really matters. The U.S. Supreme Court is also taking up these 14th Amendment challenges. House and Senate leaders have reached a deal to avoid a partial government shutdown. The deadline is Friday. The House is expected to vote on this tomorrow on a temporary stopgap measure, and the Senate will soon follow. The deal would just kick the can down the road, really, and create new funding deadlines for March 8th and the 22nd. Comedian and actor Richard Lewis died of a heart attack last night. He was most recently known for playing himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. Lewis previously appeared on many late-night TV shows and the sitcom Anything But Love. Richard Lewis was 76. New tonight on ABC 6 News 11 at 11. One very lucky driver walked away from a rollover crash in Norton tonight. It happened right at the intersection of Richardson Avenue and Laura Lane just after 8. A car hit a large rock and rolled onto its roof. Somehow the driver was not injured. Even though they needed to be pulled from the wreckage, the driver was cited, though, for driving without a license. Police in New Bedford grabbing a man they say has been breaking into vehicles for months. According to police, 34-year-old Leocadio Rivera, they say is homeless, was spotted by police officers checking car doors near Rockdale Ave yesterday. He's also accused in a February 11th vehicle break-in.